There we go. So my goal for today is for you to really walk away feeling more comfortable about your LinkedIn profile. There's a lot of different things we can talk about LinkedIn today, but really I want to start with the most fundamental and important piece of your presence on LinkedIn. It's going to, by developing your profile, it's really going to boost your confidence on the platform. It's going to help you connect with more people. It's going to make you look more professional, et cetera, across whether you're a freelancer or if you're a CEO, a founder, or you're a copywriter. So having a well-optimized and beautiful profile is just really great practice for anyone in our field and looking to grow a career as a content marketer. So we're going to dive into this today. So if I go to the next slide, we're just going to do some quick housekeeping. And if you've been in here for a while, you'll see these links again. I'm just going to post them one more time. Some people have already introduced yourselves. Thank you so much. It's wonderful to have you here. So the kind of the setup of this presentation is the beginning. It's just going to give you some really kind of quick takeaways on LinkedIn profiles and the optimization and things that you can take away to improve today. But then I'm going to jump right into profile audits to really kind of hopefully give you some hands-on help there. And so if you're interested in having your profile just, analyzed right in front of everybody, please go to that ClickUp form link. And what you'll do is you'll just give me your name, your LinkedIn profile. Then I'll kind of generate, do a random generator and pick a couple of people to work on today in today's workshop. And then while we go through the presentation, at any time you have any LinkedIn questions, please feel free to drop those into the chat. I do have a section of the presentation where I'll go through all those questions. If I overlook your question, post it again. I definitely don't want to miss it. So that's really important for me to get. So make sure to drop those in as we go along. Okay, who am I? I mean, Carrie already gave me an amazing introduction, so I'll just give you a couple little things. It's kind of on repeat of what she already said, but I do, of course, call Berlin home. I have been in this beautiful city for over 5 years now, so I'm not quite a senior veteran as Carrie. But I have been here for 5 years and I definitely love the city. I love the community, especially our content marketing community in Berlin is quite wonderful. But I've been doing marketing specifically for 10 years and I've really had a journey in my marketing career. I started off in nonprofits and more recently I'm transitioning into working on sustainability marketing and working with sustainable climate brands. So I've really kind of gone a full circle from nonprofits to climate. But all along, I've always been, the center of my focus has been thought leadership, content marketing, brand building, these type of topics. And that's really where I focused my marketing career over the last 10 years. And then where I do in my agency at MTC, the content agency, we are a B2B thought leadership agency. So we work in LinkedIn every single day. Every day I'm analyzing profiles, I'm helping our clients with their content strategy, et cetera. So I really, really love LinkedIn. And then kind of, yeah, I say I'm a LinkedIn wizard. That's who I am. And like I said, I've been transitioning into LinkedIn more specifically over the last 3 years, even though I kind of dabble in a lot of different things when it comes to content and branding. So what are we going to explore today? So today I'm basically going to take you through 3 common LinkedIn profile mistakes that I see quite common when I work with both my clients, but also just going and connecting people with people on LinkedIn. And then we're just going to dive right into some LinkedIn profile audits. That's how you're going to get that audit is by, again, going to that ClickUp form link and submitting your interest in it. And then from the audits, we're going to dive in some questions. So again, as I go out, please drop your questions into the meeting chat because those are the questions I'm going to go through at the end of the presentation. So a LinkedIn profile. So whenever I am talking about LinkedIn profiles, I'm just, we all know what a LinkedIn profile is. And when I'm talking about it with, for example, my community or people I'm working with, my clients, I always like to compare LinkedIn profiles to your personal branding website or almost like a landing page of who you are as an individual. And I always like to bring this to the surface because it really helps you understand how important optimizing, having a well-written LinkedIn profile is for your career, but also for you as a freelancer, CEO, founder, et cetera. It's really important for everybody. And the reason why is, it's a lot of good things. One, it's your front face of who you are, your name. It helps in growing your career, but it's also, I like to tell people, it's actually your profile is SEO optimized. So for example, if you have an uncommon name like mine, Megan Thudium, you type my name into Google, it's like one of the first things that pops up on Google. So that's also what I like to tell people is when you take time to optimize your profile, there's a lot of good things that can happen there across different various points that I just mentioned. But when I go to people's profiles, what are the mistakes, kind of the 3 mistakes that I kind of always see happening? So these are just kind of introductory mistakes. So the first one that I see is I can't even see their profile banner and their profile picture. So you might have seen it as if you go to a profile and let's say they're not connected with you, there's a beautiful blue image across. This is like the standard LinkedIn profile. The profile image is just like, a little gray person. I mean, it's just not inviting, right? So your profile banner and your profile picture is basically not open publicly, and it's not public facing. So you're basically like a faceless profile. In my book, this is one of the big no-nos when it comes to having a well done LinkedIn profile, because if it's open, you're friendly and you're inviting, that's when opportunities start to happen for you. The next mistake that I see a lot is kind of a crappy LinkedIn URL. So what I mean by this is when you open up your LinkedIn profile, LinkedIn will actually automatically create you a URL. And that URL could have bits and pieces of your first and last name, or it can have like a whole bunch of numbers. So basically, it's not very clean and pretty looking. So one of the next pieces that I like to encourage people to do is actually in the settings section of your profile, you can actually change your URL and you can make it as close as your name as possible. I always recommend to my community and to my clients that you always want your profile link to be, if you can, your full name. So for me, Megan Thudium. And the reason why that is, again, it's a landing page, it's SEO optimized, it's easier to find. So that's the next thing I see people struggle with is they're not taking the time to actually optimize and use the LinkedIn URL profile ability and kind of use that as a branding tactic. And then kind of the last piece is, I touched on this a little bit, but it's not just your profile banner and your picture that people can't see. It's other things within your settings that are basically hiding from people finding you, second degree, third degree connections connecting with you. And that's hindering your ability to make positive it makes it hard for you to find, for example, community connections. Let's say you go to a community event, they won't be able to find you, for example, if it's like closed and your profile isn't able to be searchable. So that's the last piece that I kind of see as a reoccurring problem is people are setting up the profile settings so that they're very hard to find. So it's hard for you to receive profile connection requests. It's also your personal details. It's hard to figure out how to connect with you and also to even email you, for example. So next, I'm going to kind of go through a little bit more into each one of these points. So this is kind of what I was talking about, like the face, like this little blue guy is very common. And even on the right side, you have this kind of standard LinkedIn banner that's going on. Some people do this and some people don't, and some people have the in between. So it might seem just very minimal and kind of, surface level, but this is just a really important piece to optimizing your profile. And some people are doing it and some people are half doing it and some people aren't doing it at all. And I think the most important thing when to review this mistake for your profile is just to make sure that it's open to basically anybody, public third-party connections, because LinkedIn basically offers, like, for example, your second party connections could see all of this, but if somebody has no connection ability to you, they might see this. So if that made sense, when you go into your profile settings, you basically want to make it the opportunity that third party and public, anybody has the option to see your profile banner and your picture. So again, I'm going back to that crappy LinkedIn URL. I'm just showing you an example here. I already talked a little bit about it, but here is like an example of what my URL looks like. This is one of the top things that comes up on Google search. Go ahead and Google search my name. I would love to see what it is from your side. But it is one of the top 3 entries that pops up. So that's also another reason why having your URL of your LinkedIn profile optimize as closely towards your name is really important. And another question that has actually popped up that I think is relevant is some people have a lot of common names. And so what they will want to do is, for example, if they're in the climate industry or they're a copywriter, they'll want to say Megan dash Thudium or Megan dash Thudium dash climate or Megan dash Thudium dash content. I think that's fine. I think that's specifically a really great idea if you have a very common name. Always remember that you want your first and your last name at the very beginning of the URL. So that's the first thing that is going to be pulled through, and that's going to be optimized and looked at from an SEO perspective. So you always want to make sure your first and your last name are at the beginning. So David, I'm going to give you some resources to answer that question. Don't worry. You're welcome. Bitte. Okay, so mistake number 3, close profile. I already touched on this, but I just want to go into some more specific details. Another really kind of pet peeve of mine is if you go to a profile and the only way that you can connect with that person is if you know their email address. This is actually a setting ability within the profile settings section of your LinkedIn profile. I suggest turning this off. Why? Because, for example, if you were talking to a recruiter at an event and that recruiter went and found you on LinkedIn and they couldn't connect with you because they didn't know your personal email, then you have a problem. So having that kind of closed profile and the fact that they have to enter an email to even connect with you, I think is a big hinder in your ability to be easily communicated with and found. Some other things that you can look at in changing your profile section, your contact details are not easy to find either. It's really depends on your level of comfort on how you want to give out your personal details. But as a business owner, as a freelancer, I make it easy for people. So my email address for my agency can be found at the top of my profile. It can be found in the About section. It used to be in the About section, but basically, if you go to the top of the LinkedIn profile and you say contact details, all the information that you need is there, and it's easy to be found. Another important piece is also, I like this one, especially if you're looking on building up your content strategy on LinkedIn and you want to start communicating your expertise and writing about topics on LinkedIn, but also connecting with people in your community and sharing that community content and engagement with each other. Actually making it easy for people to mention you and tag you in the comments or even in the sections of your LinkedIn profile content is really important to make sure that you're kind of not hindering that community aspect of what I was just talking about. So all in all, mistake number 3 is kind of a lot of different setting options. Whenever I talk to people who want to build and grow on LinkedIn, I always encourage them just to open their profile as much as possible. And that really comes down to going through a lot of different aspects of your profile settings and making sure everything is toggled in the right way and everything is selected and that everything is basically being as welcoming as possible. Now, I know this is very vague because I'm giving you a lot of great information, but you're like, Megan, how am I going to even do this? I don't even know what settings I'm going to do. So that's actually one of the resources that I'm going to be giving to you after the end of this workshop, this webinar, and it's probably going to come through Carrie because she's going to probably do a follow-up email, I hope. And this is, I'm basically going to give you a step-by-step audit video of how to go through your settings of your LinkedIn profile and open all of this. And you can make the decisions if certain things you want open or you don't, but this is my suggestion and I'll be giving that profile video to you. So that'll be kind of like your takeaway action point, something that you can immediately do after this presentation. Super. So you'll get that email. So kind of what is the 2 simple steps that you can take away today? I threw a lot of information, but if it was 2 things I would want you to walk away with would be, 1, I want you to do exactly what I was just saying is I want you to try to optimize your profile settings. So take the video that I'm going to share with you, walk through the video, change your settings, all those kind of 3 no-nos that we talked about in this presentation, make sure that they're not happening to you. So that's kind of like your first action point to optimizing your LinkedIn profile and getting it in the right place that you need it to be. And then the second one that we can talk about is actually filling out your profile. And this is actually another mistake that doesn't even have to do with optimization of the settings of your profile, but actually optimization of the content of your profile and actually not completing the whole section of your profile. And this could be a whole other webinar, but I'm just going to give you some points is basically when you are working on writing out your LinkedIn profile, you want to fill out every single section that you possibly can. And the reason why is because every section is going to give you, again, an SEO opportunity to be found through specific keywords that are towards your expertise and what you do as an individual, not only on places like Google and through search, but also on places on LinkedIn. So for example, if we start from the top of the profile and go all the way down, we want to make sure that the header is all written out as content. We want to make sure that the about section is filled out, all the individual about sections. And then while we're writing and copywriting those pieces of the profile, we want to be thinking, okay, what are keywords that are relevant towards our career? What are keywords that are relevant towards how I help and provide to companies or clients? And then putting all those kind of keyword rich information into my profile. That again is going to help you, 1, be found through search, and 2, be found through LinkedIn search for opportunities. And a good example of that is me as an agency owner. Every time I go and try to find a new copywriter, for example, I always go to LinkedIn search and I say B2B copywriter Berlin. And how can you make sure that you're one of those searchers who's coming up is by optimizing your profile for content keyword terms. So a good example when you are writing out your profile, which is your second simple step, is I would definitely go to my own profile, and then you can see just how much content I have written out around who I am and what I provide. And that'll give you a really good step and a good direction to walk. So I gave you a lot of information in today's workshop, and like I said, I'm going to send you some more research and I'm going to send you some more resources because a lot of what I gave you is just kind of the building blocks and some kind of theoretic pieces, but really what's going to help you is putting it into action, right? So in the email that Carrie is going to help me put together is basically going to give you that walkthrough video, and I'm also going to give you a profile checklist. So we're really going to make sure that all the settings and everything that we said about LinkedIn profiles all the big no-nos are not going to happen for you. So we're going to walk over that, and you're going to get those resources soon. So now we're going to move on to the next portion of the webinar, and I want to do some LinkedIn profile audits. I think this will give us some good insights. So if you came in late, I'm going to drop the links again and then give you a couple seconds. So how I'm going to be doing the profile audit is I'm going to be going to this link, and it's basically been pulled into my project management platform. And I'm going to be pulling out 3 names to do a profile audit for today. And then I'm just going to be quickly doing like a 30-second to a minute audit, kind of what are the top 3 things that you can improve on your LinkedIn profile. So I'll give you, let's say, 30 seconds to a minute to put your profile into that link if you're interested. And then while we're there, I'm going to get us set up. Cool. Okay. I see a bunch of people. Thank you. Okay, so let's give it another 20 seconds. Okay, so I see 10 people who have given me their profile to audit. Is there anybody else that wants to? Okay, I got 2 more. And then I'm going to have to cut it off in 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I have 12. You can go ahead and keep submitting it, but I'm just going to do 12 here at this second. So I have 4. So 4 is Qatar. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm not sure. And then I have 8, which is David. And then I'll do one more. I'll do 3 in total today. And I have number 3. And number 3 is Daniel. Okay, so I have my 3 that I'm going to review with you today. And then what I'll probably also do is I'll pick some more. I think I'll do in total 10 out of everybody, and I will send those out by email too, or send them through your LinkedIn profile, because I definitely think this will be helpful to people. So let's open up the first profile. Okay, profile number 1. I hope everybody can see that. And okay, here is your quick LinkedIn profile audit. So I usually like to start from the top to the bottom. What would help me really quickly is if you would just drop me, or you can, maybe I might have to output. If you just want to put in the text section, are you a freelancer? Are you a business manager? Like, what is your background? So then we can also change it a little bit, my analysis for you. Okay. I'm going to assume that you're full-time. Okay. So if you're a full-time worker, how I would start is always at the top of your profile. I will look at your banner. So the banner, I like that this is an interactive banner of you giving your presentations. I would say, let's say, because I don't know Yeah, okay, you can be both, but let's just say your banner is your most prime real estate on your LinkedIn profile. So maybe what is the most important for you to be trying to attract on your LinkedIn profile? So by just looking at this picture, I would say, hey, maybe you want some more people to hire you or to ask you to speak at their events. So I think definitely the picture is engaging. I think it can be higher res and it can be clear. I can tell that it's a little bit pixelated. But I think the next step for you is actually pulling this banner into something like Canva and actually adding text on it, because the banner is prime real estate. What you can, for example, tell people who you are, what kind of like talks you're providing, where your expertise is. And then you can even put, for example, a call to action on your banner and say, hire me or ask me to speak at your next event, for example. Or if you are just looking to connect with people within your community because you're an employee, you can say, message me about so and so topic. So you can use that banner to really do a lot of good things. The next thing is I would suggest for the profile pictures always need to be frontward facing so that it's just easy for people to see your face and see who you are, and that, yeah, so that it's just also zoomed so that there's like no hint of, okay, like who's this person. We also want to keep in mind that LinkedIn is, even though it's changing a lot, is still a professional network. So we also want to make sure that the pictures reflect that. It's just like what we would put on our CV or our resume. The next thing I would say for you to work on is definitely the about section. I don't see an about section at all. So the about section is one of those like keyword rich opportunities that I talked to already in the presentation. And so, right, I would say between, maybe you can use, I believe, up to 2,000 characters. You don't have to write that much, but let's just say 3 to 5 paragraphs. I would write it in the first person and not in the third person. And I would just tell people, okay, what is your passion? What do you love about your career? What is your current projects you're working on? What kind of topics you like to connect over? And just kind of copyright that section to be a nice introduction to who you are and, yeah, what your place is in your career and how you're working with people. So I hope that was helpful. I'm going to move on because I know I will take a lot of time, more time than I definitely said 30 seconds. I don't think that was 30 seconds. So the next one I'm going to work with is David. Okay, David, have your profile up. You're welcome. Okay, David, starting from the top, one good thing for you actually is what I would say is we were talking about the URL. It kind of has that number in there, and that bothers me. I don't think it's a very strategic optimization piece. So for example, you can go into optimizing your URL. I like that you start with your first and your last name, but maybe you take the numbers out and you put, for example, that you're a consultant or some keyword that is specific towards your career. I think that would really help you get that SEO richness going on your profile. The next thing is I really like that you have put this section in here. This is really important again for the keyword. It also tells people who you are and how you're helping and what you're doing in your career when people come to your profile. I think this is too brand focused in my opinion. So I would say the second thing for you to work on would to be actually combining what you do at Coach Hub and how you are helping those customers into a more of a, proposition type of sentence for this section. So helping so-and-so customers, your target audience at Coach Hub, do so-and-so things as project manager. something like that. So think a little bit more, not brand focused, but more about you specifically and how you fit within their brand and how you're helping people, how you're helping those customers. So that's number 2. I don't see an about section. I already talked about sections. So I would say about section is going to be a good one for you too. I would also say as a new piece is, again, keyword rich and content opportunity is the experience section. You as a employee, this is a really great opportunity for you to talk about why you're awesome and what you do, and also what you love about doing your work in the actual experience section. Because each one of these for example, each one of these places that has the title of, it has an opportunity to put text, and that text is searchable. And it's also really good content to show people who you are and what you do. So you, for example, I would again think about it not as third person, but personalized first person content. Okay, what are you doing at Coaching Hub? Why do you love what you're doing? How does your career come in that journey? How did you come to that point, etc. So you can do a little bit of storytelling about your career and your background in the experience section. And I'm just going to say that the rest of your profile is shaping up very nicely. And yeah, great work, David. I like what I'm seeing. You're welcome. Okay, now the last person that I'm going to work with today is Daniel. Okay, Daniel, I hope you can see your profile okay. I think it's in a good start. Don't worry, Daniel. So a lot of the same things that we were already saying with the other two, with not knowing too much about what your goals are and also your background. I see that you're administrative assistant, so I'm going to assume that you're an employee. Again, I think starting always from the top, prime real estate, that banner, that is something like, for example, you say your experience is logistics, operations, and management. Maybe you can copyright that a little and open up Canva. It's a free graphic design tool. And you can make yourself a banner that just says that, hey, I'm a data analyst and you can use some fancy copywriting, say like, I'm amazing at logistics, operations, and management, or, something like that. You can go to the copywriters in the group and ask them to write you a nice headline. But you can really use, for example, you can pull out, for example, these keywords that you just gave me, and then you can use them in that profile banner. And I really think that's going to center people on, it's like, hey, this is Daniel, and this is what he does. And these are kind of his expertise and the topics that he likes to talk about. I do like your picture. I would say, maybe just a picture of your eyes facing forward might be a little bit more inviting, but it might also be another reason why. I'm not sure. Here with the I'm finding the word, with the headline. So the headline is, again, another good opportunity for you to do this keyword rich opportunities that I was just talking about. Yep, we can talk about that in a second. So looking at the keyword rich opportunities that are your headline, I think, again, you can think about, okay, what are my 3 topics and what are the job positions? We just said in the comment section that you're looking for a job, so you can turn on, of course, the looking for work badge that is on LinkedIn, but you can also use, for example, your headliner here to say, looking for a position and opportunity in topic in industry, etc. That is telling people, okay, what you're looking for, what your current goals are at the second, but also, again, playing on kind of that keyword rich opportunity. Again, the about section, like I said, it has a lot of word count opportunity. So this is something that, You can also play out a little bit too. You can tell people if you're looking for a position, okay, what are you looking for? What are the job titles? Kind of what the ideal job. Also here, I think you can do some good storytelling, like how did you get up to this point? Where has your career taken to you? And just kind of use the about section to glimpse into your career and what makes you unique as an individual. Give it something that recruiters or hiring managers can really connect with emotionally. The other thing is, I think, I'm just going to say this, I'm not sure because I don't know this company, but if this is your company or if this is a company you work for, I do recommend actually making sure that the brand, the company page, and that you're actually sharing and connecting that company LinkedIn page to your actual profile, simply because it just looks better, because then you have these nice looking blue squares here. So just kind of connect them as much as you can. If you are working for a company, another thing that comes up when I give people that advice is they're like, I'm a freelancer and do I really need to open up a LinkedIn page? Yeah, so Daniel, you might be out of luck here, but if it, for example, was your own company, I would encourage you to start a LinkedIn page. You don't even have to publish content on it, but just like put the logo of your freelance business onto that page so that it connects and it looks nice on the page, for example. Another thing too, if you're looking, the second one is more of a description, this logistics and communication. You might want to actually put what the job title is there because it's not super clear to me. And so that might also help you with recruiters. I have a lot more experience with optimizing profiles for founders, CEOs, and copywriters, freelancers. So I don't, just take that with a grain of salt. But I would think if I was a recruiter, I would want to look more at like kind of what the positions that you were having, be a little bit more clear about that. And yeah, I think the other pieces are really shaping out. I like that you have some recommendations here. This is great. Yeah, great work. Great work, Daniel. Okay, so those are the 3 profiles. I hope that gave not just the 3, but also everybody else kind of a little bit of a, kind of a thought into what they could also improve on their profiles. And maybe that was helpful to them and to how to optimize your own. Let me look at the comments just really a second, see. Oh, good to know, Carrie. I'm glad that you're learning a lot. That makes me feel good. Super. So now we're going to move on from the audits. Like I said, I received a lot of them from you. I want to make sure that you all just, I always say a minute, but I always end up giving way more. So I will be, let's say, going up to 10 in total and sending those out to you by LinkedIn Messenger. Just give me, let's say, a week to get through them, but I definitely want to help more of you and I'm giving you a LinkedIn profile audit. So moving on. So now we are getting to questions. So I definitely want to go through some individual LinkedIn questions about your profile, and we can work through those right now. So I see Marco's. So I'll start with yours, Marco. And if anybody dropped a question as I was going through, please feel free to drop it again into the meeting chat because I was concentrated and I might have missed it. I want to make sure I don't miss your questions, okay? So we'll start with Marco's. Is endorsing skills still of any relevance? So 100% putting your skills on your profile is important, and also getting other people to do it. And I think a good way is to actually show my profile because you'll see what happens. So this is my profile, Marco. So what I have done is I put relevant skills that are where I want to center my expertise. I want to be known for sustainable marketing, LinkedIn company pages, and LinkedIn training, for example. And what LinkedIn does when you put those specific skills, and I would be as specific as you can be towards your career or towards the services that you're providing, because then what LinkedIn does, as you get endorsed from people on that, it starts pairing it under your profile. So you'll see, for my sections, you'll start seeing skills, LinkedIn company pages, LinkedIn training, LinkedIn marketing, and starts putting those skills together. So yes, it's really important to put your skills that are most relevant towards you onto your LinkedIn profile, and then to actively try to get, for example, your close managers, people within your community to endorse those, but be strategic, ask them, I would say, to endorse those top skills, etc. So I hope that answered, Marco. So yes, it is definitely very relevant. Okay, next one. How do you expand your network, develop and build relationships? So this is a great question, David. I mean, I could talk about this as its own webinar. I would say, actually, I just posted a great video about that today. So go to my LinkedIn profile and you'll see my post today. The best and easiest way to expand your network is just to start writing comments. So if you already have, let's say, your colleagues are on LinkedIn and you connected with people within, for example, this community, start following their content and what they're posting and start leaving comments. Comments is a great way to get your name in front of people within your community, those like second and even third degree connections, and start getting them to, if you leave insightful content, comments, it also encourages them to like and follow you and want to connect with you also. So number one, start writing comments within your community, start engaging with other people's content. People who, for example, if you met some people in a meetup or in a networking event, start messaging them and connecting with them, build a relationship with people in Messenger. I would say that's number two. And then number three is I would start posting content. Start showing people your expertise and how you bring value towards your career and to other people in your community, and start sharing your knowledge with others. So that's kind of your 3 steps. Okay. Moving on. So you've been a freelancer for years and basically you want to build out the job experience section because you think it looks too empty. So yeah, I think this is actually a great, if your clients let you basically pair their LinkedIn pages and for you to talk a little bit about what you did on those specific projects under your experience section, I think that's a great first step. So try to get to your clients and talk each individual section of your LinkedIn profile and have each section and talk about what you did and pair it to a LinkedIn page so it looks professional and they have the brand there and everything. I would say that's your first step. And then if that's not going to work for you, I would say, let's talk about it. You can send me a message on LinkedIn and we can brainstorm some more. You're seeing job titles called dad, entrepreneur, and sparring partner, delivering tech value for the, yeah. So I think that's part personality. I think they're being cocky, in my opinion, but it's just my personal opinion. There's a lot of talk right now about, is LinkedIn more professional? Is it more personal? Like what type of LinkedIn, what kind of social media network is it going to become? People are frightened to death that it's going to become Facebook. So I would say that's kind of, maybe that person is a little bit more Facebook thoughts on how they are treating their profile. In my opinion, it is good to write about yourself personally and how your personal interests and hobbies are connected to your career, but LinkedIn isn't Facebook. So that could be a whole other topic to talk about. But for him, I would say that's not even a very strategic very strategic way, because that tells me absolutely nothing about who he is and what he can do for me. Like if he is an entrepreneur, if I go to his profile, it's like, that's great that you're an entrepreneur, but what's in it for me? So if that is really his goal, is to make connections and business connections on LinkedIn, I would say that tagline isn't even going to help him very much. How do I feel about video content? I absolutely love video content. You will see, David, that I post a lot of video content. As much as I love LinkedIn, I think it do kind of misses that like personal connection that you, for example, might see through Instagram stories. And I think video is a great way to bridge that personal connection, especially if you already have a growing audience. So I highly recommend video content. Looking at analytics, does it perform or not? What you will see with video content is you will get a lot of engagement, but you won't necessarily get a lot of impressions. And for me, that's okay, because I want people to be engaged. I want people to be watching the video. And then I also want them to be sparking a conversation with me. So I love video content. I highly recommend it, especially if you already have a developing profile on LinkedIn. It's a great way to stand out too, because not a lot of people are doing video content on LinkedIn. So if you're in a career transition, what is the best heading to put there? Again, I would say, I'm not an expert at writing these type of profiles, but I would say use again, your headline to use those keywords for the position that you are seeking, and even the type of company that you are wanting to work for. So if I was looking for a job position, I would say, for example, seeking a senior marketing position in a do-good climate startup, something like that. So then if a recruiter is going out there and they're like, okay, I need to find somebody for this climate company, and my profile comes up, be like, oh, she's a marketer, and oh, she definitely is interested in this industry. She would be a good person to work with. So that's how I would suggest to shape it, but maybe there's some recruiters in here too, and they can pop some advice in the feed if they have any. Cocky. Yeah, totally cocky. Okay, I think I got through all the questions. Did I miss anybody's questions? Do the LinkedIn learnings have any effect? What do you mean? Like, are they increasing your knowledge or putting them as, for example, as part of the licenses and certification section?
There's also one question there from Hema, just above Amit's.
Okay, I'll get that, Carrie. I see it now. Thank you. Okay, so to answer really quick, the LinkedIn learnings is, as you see on my profile, I highly recommend putting your licenses and your certifications. I do think it helps with credibility, especially if it is specific towards your career and the expertise that you're providing, for example, as a freelancer. So for example, for me, you see I have a certification for creator mode, but I also have a certification in sustainable marketing. And that's also what I'm transitioning to as a career, in addition to LinkedIn. So that is 100%, I think, a very valuable piece to show kind of third-party credibility for your profile.